Hello, everyone, and welcome back. We have some huge stuff to talk about today. The IAE schedule was put out, so we know the manufacturer sale dates and all that sort of stuff, and the exact date and location of IAE. But we got a video. We got a video of the RSI Perseus. They showed a kind of a preview video of all the ships coming in, and we got our first real solid look at the Perseus. And I'm not joking when I say it is probably the most close to absolute perfection ship that I have ever seen. And there are a lot of changes on it. So we're going to talk about all of that in today's video. We're going to analyze that video going over the changes that we can see on the Perseus. We'll go over the IAE information, and we also have a roadmap update from yesterday. There's a few interesting things there we'll talk about. And then we may also go over some other data mine information from Nix and the 4.4 patch cycle. So we'll see on that and any other little bits and bobs of news that we can find. So let's go ahead and let's talk about all the IAE stuff. So let's start by going over all of the IAE store page stuff or on the website. This little video is playing at the top of the page there. Again, we're going to go through that video specifically in a few minutes because they show the Perseus in a few places there. So we can see Expand Your Universe. It begins in about 2 weeks from now. We can see kind of the color theme. We have black and kind of that yellowy orange look to the text here. So that's going to be your theme for the event and also for the best in show paints. So IAE this year is going from November 20th to December 3rd in Orison. So you can join us in the breathtaking city of Orison for the biggest spaceship show in the universe. To celebrate the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo 2955, Star Citizen will have a free-to-play throughout the event, a free fly. You can also get 150 ships and ground vehicles. You can try them free from those rental kiosks that you'll find in the event hall. There will be the latest, of course, ships and stuff that will be coming at the event, and there'll also be IAE exclusive armor, paints, and in-game items. So then they also have the manufacturer schedule below, so we'll go ahead and check that out. So for our pledge and free rental schedule, first we have RSI on the first couple of days. No surprise, the big thing, the Perseus, will be coming out that first day or two. Then we'll have Origin. I don't expect to see anything from Origin. Usually how the schedule goes is they have a couple of days where there's a manufacturer that has something new, and then they have a couple of days where there's a manufacturer that won't have anything. So I don't expect Origin to have anything. Then we have Drake on the 22nd and 23rd. Very likely that we will get the Drake Clipper on this day. This probably the weird mystery silhouette ship from CitizenCon 2024 that we don't entirely know what it's going to do quite yet, but it'll likely come on that day. Then the 23rd and 24th we have AOPA, all the alien manufacturers, and Gray's Market. I don't think we'll see anything else new from any of them. November 24th to the 25th, we'll have Kruger, Mirai, and Misk if the data mines are true. Kruger will have a L-22 Alpha on this day. Now, whether that's a variant of the Wolf or another new fighter or something, we don't know for sure quite yet, but something likely from Kruger on that day. The 25th and 26th will have Anvil Aerospace, not expecting anything new from them at IAE. 26 and 27 will have Argo, Consolidated Outlands, and Greycat Industrial. Likely will have the Greycat MDC, the Mobile Defense Center, kind of a mobile missile battery on this day, little ground vehicle. 27th and 28th, we will have Crusader Industries and Tumbrel. Doubt anything new will be coming from them. 28th and 29th is Aegis Dynamics, the last manufacturer. Now that's interesting because you'd expect maybe there to be something from them, but I have not really heard anything coming from Aegis. So we'll have to see if anything happens there. Also, I guess on RSI Day, they'll probably also put out the RSI Salvation, the little starter salvage ship, and maybe the Hermes. We'll have to see, but they might hold that back for later. But that is the IAE schedule for this year. So pretty cool lineup. So now that we've got that schedule stuff out of the way, let's go over the video that you could see playing in the background on the site. I believe they posted it on social media a few places, but not on YouTube that I've seen, at least yet. But we do have I think the source video here for that. And we're going to watch through this, but we can see our first real solid look at the RSI Perseus and a lot of the at least exterior changes to it. We don't know still a lot on the interior changes, but we're going to talk about everything that we can see here and everything that has changed. So let's take a look. So I'm going to be pausing and stopping quite a bit there. This is the first shot we can see of the ship coming in out of Quantum. And the first thing you can see is that giant size 8 turret at the front there. You got the nice red lighting on it. Those guns are ginormous. So that'll be really fun to play with. But something that you might notice on here that I had actually heard some whisperings about a couple of months ago and some speculation on it, but I hadn't. I thought there was a good chance it could happen, but I thought there wasn't quite enough evidence at the time to bother bringing it up in a YouTube video. But there had been some evidence going around and some theories that they maybe had added some smaller guns to the large turrets here. And if you look closely there, you can see that that is the case. Looks like they have added 2 size 3 guns to the upper portion of the size 8 turrets here. So kind of javelin-ified. The javelin has size 4s on top and then the size 7 cannons. And also the javelin has kind of a separate rotating base for the size 4s and the size 7s. This does not look like it'll have the separate rotating turret body. So you'll be having to rely on gimbals quite a lot to be able to hit smaller ships reliably with those size 3s, but I really appreciate the addition of those. It just makes it a little bit like if you're in that turret and you have mostly fighters you're dealing with, you can contribute a little bit more because you're very unlikely to hit any fighters or anything like that with those size 8 guns. Something else you can notice if I back up a little bit, so the little play bar isn't in the way. We'll do the best we can. There is also a remote turret down right here on the underside of the nose. Now, this is new. This is not in the concept. So one thing that we'll talk about, we'll touch on this in a little bit as well, is if this is a new turret in addition to the turret that's in the rear bottom of the ship in between the engines, or they may have moved that rear turret up to the front here. We'll talk about possibly what could have replaced it in just a moment. But there is a remote turret here, 2 size 3s, so one of your remote turret operators can be able to fire forward, have a little bit more effective range or effective turret arc. So that is, I think, a good play by CAG to make it a little bit more enjoyable to use that turret in particular. So now let's let it play just a bit more, and right here, that's a PDC. So this had been rumored for quite a while that the Perseus was going to get a few PDCs. This has basically been confirmed now with this being here. So we can see one right here. I don't know if this might be the laser PDC, although CIG did say there would be something with a new kind of PDC coming at IAE. So I don't know if that means this might be a ballistic PDC, and maybe it looks very similar visually to the laser one, but at the very least, I'm pretty sure it's the same size as the other one, so you'd be able to swap it out if you wanted to put the missile PDC on or the laser PDC. And they also said that they'll be adding those other PDCs to the in-game shop, so you can buy them in-game, then you can outfit your Perseus or your Idris or your Polaris or whatever with the PDCs that you like. But as far as I can tell, we have at least 2 on top. We have one here, and then one will be mirrored on the other side. And then in a couple of other spots in the video, we'll be able to see some spots for at least 2 more, possibly 3 more. So this might have 4 or 5 PDCs, but we'll touch on that in a minute here. And before we move on from this frame here, you can see the kind of main hull. I think they did a good job of keeping because the concept of the Perseus was it had kind of larger armor plating, and it wasn't quite as like greebled as like the Polaris kind of turned out. And I think from what I can see here, it looks like they've done a good job of not doing as much greebling and kind of keeping that more larger plates and armor look to the outside. There is still, there's a few exposed little areas, but I think I like the balance of the greebling on this a lot more than what they did on the Polaris. Something else I noticed is, so this area right here should be one of the docking ports. If I think in the concept it had one on the port side, I want to say. This is starboard side as far as I know. So unless they've added one to both sides, then there wouldn't be a docking port here. But we can see here, there is a little window that you can very faintly see a little bit to the inside there. If we go forward just a bit, there's also one on the other side of this this area here. So they have added a few windows to the interior of the Perseus. We also saw in the July sneak peek that it looked like there had been some smaller windows added on the bridge deck. So I'm glad to see that there's a few windows that have been added. I can't really, I've tried to look close and I can't really see anything in there because it's just too brief of a flyby to really see much on the inside. But that should be looking into the cargo bay. If you were able to look in there, you should be seeing the cargo bay of the ship. Now, something else we can see up here, up top, we can see the bridge, and we can get a little bit more confirmation on the seat positioning. So we can see one of the remote turret seats right here. In the middle here, we can see, as far as I know, what will be the pilot seat, which is actually raised up instead of being kind of lower down like it was in the concept. So I think that lends credence to the theory that this likely kind of sits down a little bit, and then you get in the seat and it raises you up on a little track and turns you around. So you should actually have quite good visibility from the pilot seat in the Perseus. You'll be above this strut here. You should have really nice visibility right out the front. You could see that big turret shooting off and all that good stuff. So I really like that pilot seat positioning. And then of course in the farther corner there, you can't see it in this frame, but there would be the other remote turret operator seat. So I really like that bridge layout, and I think a lot of people are really going to appreciate the extra visibility and having the seat being in the center still like it was from the concept. Then right here we get another little bit of a look at kind of a wider angle shot of the whole ship. Unfortunately, there's another ship that flew by in the frame, and the blue streak kind of is blocking a little bit of it, but you might be able to, if you have to look pretty carefully on this one, but we can see the lower turret down here. This is the lower ballistic size 8 turret. Should also have those size 3s as well. And we can also see, if we go forward just a bit more, oh no, I got to go back a bit. There is seemingly another PDC similar to the one on the top kind of right of the ship that's on the bottom side, kind of off to the right of that ballistic turret. So I would assume that there'll be another one mirrored on the other side of the hull as well. So that would put us up to 4 PDCs. And then here you also get a little bit of a sneak peek at the kind of the engines. You can see those a little bit, the effects. They look like they have like purple flames coming out of them. They look similar to the Polaris, but definitely look unique in their own. There is also, and I can't zoom the video in, I don't think, unfortunately, but some people have zoomed in quite a bit here, and they think that on this back area between the engines, where previously there was a size 3 remote turret that one of the remote turret operators would control, they think that this little spot right here has been changed into a PDC, and so that's on the top side, but possibly there could be one on the bottom side as well, which would put the Perseus at having 6 PDCs, which is a lot more than I thought it would. So I don't know on the bottom one for sure, but I think it's pretty clear on the top one that there is a PDC facing rearward, so you do have some rear protection from torpedoes, missiles, stuff like that. So that puts it at least 5 PDCs in total, which I think will offer pretty good coverage for the ship and give you pretty good anti-torpedo, anti-missile capabilities, help you a little bit in fighting the smaller ships as well, in addition to those extra size 3 guns that we have access to. There's also, at this point, this isn't the thing in the Perseus, but this up over here, this is probably the Drake Clipper. It might be the Corsair, and it's just it looks a little weird because it's at like a far distance, so it's like low LOD or something. But it doesn't really look like it has the same back half as the Corsair, so I think there's a good chance this could be the Clipper, and they're just sneaking in it as like a little teaser at a certain point in the video. But that is basically all that I can see from the video here. If you have any little details that you noticed perhaps from watching this that I didn't point out, that I missed, make sure to point those out in the comments below. Let me know what you think on the changes for the Perseus that we could see on the exterior. What changes do you think we could see on the interior? Do you think it'll maintain a pretty consistent layout to the concept, or what changes do you think we could see? So that's all for the IAE stuff. So now we're going to transition over to talking about some of the roadmap updates that we got yesterday. So it was a fairly small roadmap update. There was only a few things that were added or updated, but they are all actually meaningful, I would say. So we're going to go over it for a minute here. So there's 3 cards that have been either added or edited. The first one is the new Wicklow ship offerings. So this is going to be the RSI Meteor and the Guardian MX with the upgraded components and a base livery that has received a new visual. So we have a picture for it now. So I'll show that up on the screen for you now. You should be seeing it. We can see the Meteor on the bottom there. It has more of kind of a green paint look to it seems like, so it's definitely a little bit different than some of the other Wicklow ships. Looks like they've also changed the stock size 3 guns to Omnis guys on there. So besides that, I would expect it to come with, you know, maybe military components or something stock on it. The more interesting one to me personally, though, is the Guardian MX. You can see in the top of the picture there, the skin on it honestly looks a lot more like an exec hangar ship. So I'm surprised it's not an exec hangar ship, but it is what it is. But the only other interesting thing there I can see is it does come with attritions stock on the size 4 weapon hardpoints instead of the Rhino repeaters, which is a bit of a change. There's not a lot of ships that come with attrition stock as far as I know. So if you're someone that does a lot of like PvE stuff with the MX, which the MX is pretty good for, you probably are going to use attritions anyways. So then you don't have to buy them yourself. So it's going to work well for a lot of people, I think. The next update for the roadmap was one that I was not expecting at all, but is a very welcome surprise, and I'm very happy with it, is the Max Ox Neutron Cannon art refactors. This is the NDBs. So they updated the art style and geometry for the size 1, 2, and 3, which is the only sizes we have for the NDBs. I'll show that picture up on the screen here. I think they look very nice, and I really like that there's, like they've done with the repeaters and the laser cannons, that there's more of a visual differentiation between the sizes than just scaling up the same gun over and over again. So I really like the changes on these. I hope that this comes with maybe some improved sound effects or visual effects on it, because the sound on them is kind of lacking. It's not really punchy or anything. It's kind of meh. So really hoping they change the sound on it at the same time. But they look nice, and I'm really looking forward to running these on maybe the size 3 guns on the Perseus. I'll switch out for NDBs or something like that. And then our last addition to the roadmap is an update for the exterior freight elevators card. And this is a very good change that I know a lot of people were not super happy about initially. So initially they said that the exterior freight elevators would only be on the stations in Nyx and Pyro, but this update to the roadmap says they are adding new ways of loading and unloading cargo in the currently available systems. Now Nyx, Stanton, and Pyro. So they have also apparently updated the stations in Stanton to include exterior freight elevators. So that'll be really good. You can load your whole Cs. You can even, you could load your Polaris, your Idris, your Reclaimer, your 890 from those exterior freight elevators. So very, very excited to see that. And hopefully they don't cause too many issues and they work as they're intended to, but we will see. But that is this week's roadmap update. But that's going to do it for this video, going over the IAE news, going over the Perseus video and all that sort of good stuff, and the roadmap. I was thinking about maybe doing some other little data mine stuff from Nyx, but I think we might save that for another video. I think 4.4 is supposed to maybe go wave 1 later today with a new patch. You never know, maybe they put the Perseus in this patch and we can take a look at it and test it out later. If we do, I will definitely get a first look video out to you as soon as possible, but we'll see what happens. But if you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave it a like, as it really helps the channel, and subscribe to see more Star Citizen news as we get ever closer to IAE. And let me know what you think down in the comments of all the stuff that we talked about today. But I hope you enjoyed the video. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you in the verse.